Welcome to Step Away from the Table, Beyond the Table. The podcast for pet groomers ready to start their next chapter. Let's explore what's possible when you trade in the grooming table for the freedom of virtual work. Whether you're done with the physical toll or just craving more flexibility, you're in the right place. We're staying in the pet industry, just shifting how we show up. So take a breath, step away from the table, and let's see what's waiting for you on the other side.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Step Away from the Table podcast. I am your host, River Lee, and I have a very special episode for you today. So let's get into it. So a lot of you guys have been asking me how I'm traveling at such a reasonable rate of money. So I have been traveling quite a bit, and I average anywhere between about, I would say between 65 US dollars to about $100 a day. Now, for a lot of you guys, that seems crazy, but for better or for worse, in different countries, it makes it a lot easier. Now, some of those places have been really fancy, like French Polynesia, Japan, Europe, like different parts of Europe. But obviously, I've also gone to places like a lot of Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia. So I thought it was a great idea to show you guys how I got a really, really good deal on a cruise. Now, this isn't really about being a virtual assistant, but I did think it would be useful for you guys to see how I do this because, again, there's so many different ways of traveling, and I think one of the benefits of of being a virtual assistant is traveling. So first things first, I'm going to show you guys a screenshot of this back-to-back cruise I'm doing. Now, a back-to-back cruise is a cruise where you have one cruise. This one is an 11-day cruise. And then the second one is another 11-day cruise. So I'm technically doing a 22-day cruise. It's just going to be back to back. So I'm going to show you the itineraries they're very similar. Now, I don't really care if they're very similar. I really don't mind for the price point, and I really want to go to some of these places. And again, sometimes you miss ports when you're doing cruise ships. So I think it's really important to be able to go ahead and, sometimes, do them again. So let me pop this open. Oh, here it is. So this is a cruise out of Miami. And so we have a sea day. Now, if you guys have never been on a cruise, a sea day basically means an entire day that you are literally at sea on the cruise ship. You don't get off the boat. You're welcome to stay on the boat. I personally love sea days. I use them to rest. I use them to work. I generally do get internet. And depending upon what ship line you're using. So I personally have generally used Norwegian. It is not the fanciest. It is not the most elevated. I would say it's the Dunkin' Donuts of cruise lines, which is fine with me. But part of that is I get a minimum of 150 minutes of internet for free. So this first sea day, my plan is to use my free minutes. And then I may buy internet either on this Friday, or I may not buy internet because most days I'm in port and I have both cell phone signal and an eSIM. So I have multiple different ways to get internet. But again, so this one goes Miami, it leaves at 4, which, is what it is. To save money, am flying in same day. I personally don't care. I have great travel insurance. If I had to fly to Jamaica, it doesn't really bother me. I would just pay to fly from Miami to Jamaica, stay a night in Jamaica, and send the flight and the hotel to my travel insurance. But I travel a lot. I'm a very comfortable traveler. So I save a day on a hotel. So I don't spend that $150 on that day before on that hotel. So I do save money that way. So hop on the boat. We leave at 4. Then we're going to be in Jamaica. I like Jamaica. It's not my favorite port. It's a great port to do fun things. It's not a port I feel safe going around, so not a big deal. I'm excited to go to Colombia. This is my first time in Colombia. It is a short day. You can say 6 a.m. to 2. So I will probably do some kind of tour, especially because it's our first time there. Then we're going to be technically going through the Panama Canal, but we're not doing the full lock. We're not going from east to west coast or west to east coast. It's just going to be kind of near it, which is still exciting for me because it's my first time near the Panama Canal. And then we're going to be in Costa Rica. It's my first time in Costa Rica. Again, kind of a shorter day. So for me, these are a lot of new places. It's my first time in Colombia, my first time in Panama, my first time in Costa Rica. So I'm really excited. But you can see like the port days are fairly short, right? And this is important if you're going to be doing work on the ship. So for me, I don't care that we're in port after 2 because I'm going to come back before 2. I like to come in at least an hour before we leave, just in case, you never know. So, I'm going to be back by like 1, the latest, and then I have the rest of the afternoon to eat, be merry, go by the pool, maybe do a few hours of work. Same thing here. Here, again, I believe we don't actually stop here. I think this is just one of those like we get to like see the area. Um, and then Costa Rica, we have a full day. Again, we're done by 4, so I still have time for dinner and maybe a little bit of work. So I have here 1, 2, 3, 4 sea days out of 11 days. So I have 4 days where I can really dedicate myself to work if I choose to. And that's really important, right? So I can decide if I want to do internet or not. So I just wanted to show you that. And then this is their private island in the Bahamas. So if I want to go there, I can. If I don't want to go there, I can. This is very, very safe. Again, it's a private island. So if I want to go there and just sit by the pool and again, do some work with my phone, I'm not as worried about having my expensive equipment versus in these other, like I would not bring anything but my phone to Jamaica. And even then, I'm going to be very cautious. I might even bring, I have a backup phone that's an Android that if someone steals, you have an eSIM on it, but I don't have any personal data on this phone. There's nothing that on this phone that if they steal, they can access anything, which might sound paranoid until you've been to some of these places and sometimes it just is what it is. So that is the first one. And then the next one, very, very similar. Again, we depart on 4 o'clock. So we get in at 6 a.m. and then everyone's going to be getting off the ship. I will need to go through immigration. I go through immigration. And then from there, I'm then going to have to be back on the boat by 3 p.m. So basically, from I would say safely like 8 a.m. Again, I'm not going to be fighting with people to get off the boat. I'm in no rush. I'm going to take my time having breakfast. I do have to pack all my stuff and move rooms. That's fine. But I just pack it up and I leave it in my room, and my room steward will move it. So they're going to move my stuff for me. So as long as I'm out of my room by 8 o'clock, I'm going to go breakfast, take my sweet time. And then I have the whole day. I can either sit by the pool. I do have to go through immigration. And then, yeah, then I can just kind of do what I want, which is great. Sometimes when I'm in Miami, it's not terribly far from all the shops and everything and the beach. Sometimes I'll get an Uber to the beach, or if I'm with other people, if I meet up with them, we'll go do an adventure, or I could go rent a car for the day. Like there's so many different things that we can do. So that's an extra day in Miami free. Instead of paying for a hotel, I already have that in Miami. And then again, very similar, another sea day, Jamaica, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica again. We're going to Belize. I have been to Belize, but it's good to go there again. Again, this is their private island. Mexico again. We're going to Cozumel instead of Costa Maya. And then this one is a little bit later. It's 8 a.m. So need to be off the boat by probably like 11 or so. So why am I showing you guys this? Just because I want to have a realistic idea of what that itinerary looks like before I start explaining how I save money. Now, I am an avid rather, Norwegian cruise line person. For better or for worse, right? You either, I think Royal is a better cruise line. I think that MSC is a worse cruise line. I think Carnival is a worse cruise line. You may love it. Everyone's different. But for solo pricing and for that kind of in between of working and having time off, I find Norwegian for me is best. If I'm in the middle of really working, I like the freestyle dining. So what they have is basically I get to pay for I get to go to dinner when I want to. So for me, that's a big deal because I don't want to be in the middle of something and be like, "Oh man, I've got dinner," which is one thing if I have sushi or specialty dining, but what I don't want to deal with is to have to worry about, I have this dinner reservation with people I hate because being solo, I'm always paired up with somebody, or I have to eat dinner alone, right? By having the freestyle dining, I can eat with other solos, I can eat by myself. Um, I can eat anywhere between about 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And then a lot of times they have like these little, they call it the local or Sheins, where it's just like a little place you can eat as well. So I'm going to show you guys a really quick way that I save money. Now, again, this is not sponsored. I don't make any money off of this, but I feel like this is a great way for me to show you guys like how I'm doing this, right? So, of course, here is Norwegian site. This is their current sale. Take it with a grain of salt. The sales are never that great. Like it's basically always like a lie. Like right now they have 50% off. That math is always mathing. Don't worry about it. Um, It's not free unlimited open bar, especially like, yes, there is a free Wi-Fi package. Yes, there is free excursion credits. It- I never buy the airfare through them because I find that it's too many horror stories. Their limited open bar in Norwegian is the cheapest. Uh, it's generally 20 or $30 a day, depending upon the length of the cruise. They are considering changing it, but I'm not spending 20 or $30 a day on drinks because my budget is only 65 to $100 a day. And I personally can't drink $30 a day for long periods of time. I might be able to drink $30 a day for today, maybe for a week, but 22 days, there's no way I could do $30 a day. Like I would just be so sick. So I can't personally do it. Sometimes I do the specialty dining. The way they do it is you have to pay $20 for a certain number of specialty dining. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. I have enough status personally. Um, I'll show you guys that really quick. That I personally don't need the specialty dining. And this is really important if you guys are going to be going and doing solo cruising. So in the beginning, it kind of blows, right? In the beginning, you don't really get anything, kind of sucks, right? But so I'm here up at Diamond. You don't really need any of these things. These things actually don't really help at all. Um, I get a little bit of money off shore excursions. Their shore excursions are extraordinarily expensive compared to doing them privately. I don't worry about that. I very rarely get photos. I never get spa treatments. Um, the cocktail party is nice. Free drinks again. Bring a water bottle, get your free drinks. So instead of buying the drink package, bring that. The free bag of laundry, very, very nice. The tender tickets, you really don't get priority. You're in the thick of it because most people are golden up. Same thing with priority disembarkation. You're really not getting anything there. The waters are nice. Not a big deal. You get 2 bottles of water per cruise. Whoop-de frickin' do. Check-in embarkation is sometimes nice. It's only nice if there's less people, platinum and above, but you know, I very rarely actually save time doing this. I almost never use their Wi-Fi discount because you get a discount for using, so basically you get like 150 Wi-Fi minutes as of right now, could change later. And then you can then trade those minutes for the unlimited package. I prefer to wait because every day it goes down a certain amount of money. Some cruises it goes down $25 a day, some cruises it goes down $20 a day, sometimes it goes down $16 a day, depends on the length of the cruise. So if I wait 3 or 4 days, that price is significantly less. I have to pay for the full price to get the 25% off. It's almost never a better price this way. Strawberries are nice, but again, the dinner for two is really nice. So I get two specialty dinings for two people. So if I have another solo, now I get four specialty dinings for free. I didn't have to pay the $20. I just get them for free. So on an 11 day, I will get the additional specialty dining, but on a cruise 7 days or less, I won't because even if I don't find someone to split it with me for four dinners and I can just get two, it's still a really good deal. Behind the scenes tour, I always do. That's fun. Wines around the world. And then uh, we get an additional for diamonds. Where is it? A mixology class, which is nice. So that's basically, we get to try like six cocktails and get hammered one day for free. So again, like these are really nice benefits. And because of that, right, like I don't get the unlimited open bar because I get wines around the world. I get the Latitudes party where I get free booze and I'm ratchet, so I'm putting it into a water bottle. I also get the mixology. So, these are a minimum of 3 days when I'm getting free liquor. With the specialty dining for two people, I'm getting a bottle of wine. So there's lots of things I can do there to not have to spend that money. So that's really important because a lot of you guys are like, how do you do that? I'm like, you just don't buy that. Right. And the same thing with the specialty dining. If it's a 7 day cruise, I believe you get four specialty dining for $80, right? That's not a ton of money. But on 7 days, that increases by $80, right? So it's a little bit more than $10 up a day. On the 11 day, that's more spread out. It's less of a concern. So, for better or for worse, some of the things that I do that save me a lot of money are things like CruiseNext. Really quickly, CruiseNext, and then they have what is called CruiseFirst. They're different. I'm sorry to annoy you if you don't care about this, but this is only for Norwegian. So, what you do is you pay 125. Now, this says you buy four and you get $500 on credit. So, I always say buy at least two of the CruiseNext. If you're all doing Havens, there's no point in you watching this because this is how to save money. Haven people do save money. But you can buy two $250 CruiseNext credits, okay? And you get 250 onboard credit. What they tell you is it's not refundable, but it is. So I'm going to spend $500 and I'm going to get 250 off. So these credits, so each credit is $250, but I only pay 125. So I always use a CruiseFirst or a CruiseNext. So like right now, there it doesn't say here. Let me pop that open. So right now, we are at a really cool, and again, I'm not selling you guys this when you watch this. It's probably not currently what's going on, so please don't get too excited. But right now, they have a promotion where they have what's called a triple up. So let me show you guys what that looks like. It's a screenshot, so what that means is that if you book a balcony or above, now I tend to book an inside because I don't care. On 3 days or longer, you can use three of the CruiseNext, okay? So let's say, for instance, I want to book a cruise and I did book a cruise. I decided the balcony was not a good price. It was much more money. But if it's really similar, I might be able to book that, okay? Because if, well, let me make sure this calculator is ready. So, for instance, if I have $750, because that is, we need to do that 250 times three, right? So it depends. So that 750, right? I've only paid 375 for. So for me, if that balcony is more than $200 more, I'm generally not going to book it. Because for me, it's not worth it. For some of you guys, it might be. So That's why I get CruiseNext. They can be combined and do that. Now, the other thing you can get, and I know it's annoying and confusing, and I'm sorry, I didn't make this, is what they call CruiseFirst. Now, I should add too, for more clarification. I feel like it's like that, that meme where it's like the lady and all the numbers are going by her head. With this, the CruiseNext, you can only buy these on board. You can only buy these on board, and you can only buy 8 of them. That said, not a big deal because if you have a friend who, like me, always has them, you can always offer to buy them off of them, right? You can say, hey, River, I need to buy 3 CruiseNext. And, someone like me who's always on a ship isn't going to care giving somebody 5 or 6 of them. Also, these are nice if you want to book 2 rooms. Say you and your partner, you can transfer them to your partner. Now, CruiseFirst, they're generally $150 for $300. I buy them, I wait until these are 500, I'm sorry, 250 for 500. So what that basically means is I always save $250 off every cruise, no matter what. They do have different things. These are 6 days plus. They tell you booked 120 days in advance, but that's not true. You have to season these like firewood. CruiseNext, you can use immediately. CruiseFirst, you have to own them for 4 months before you can use them, which is fine. So I always have them seasoned like firewood. When they're at the 250 for 500, generally buy 10 because I use them. Because if I don't have a triple up or a double up that I can't use my CruiseNext for, I'm using my CruiseFirst. Okay. So, and if again, like these can be used on cruises, I believe 3 days or longer. Yeah. So 3 days or longer. This is 6 days and longer. So these are ways that we're going to save a ton of money. And I think that's really, really important when we're talking about how to make this really reasonably priced. Because again, a lot of you guys are like, I don't understand how you're cruising all the time. Well, again, let's break this down. So I'm going to pull up the cruises that I just booked. Okay. And I'm trying to do so without showing any of my personal information if I can. So, and it's taking a little bit to load. So I paid very, very, very little money out of pocket. I don't want to have to show you everything on there, but like as an example. So, this was the cost of my cruise. Okay. So $773. I'm going to put that in the calculator. 779.30. And then I used a $500 CruiseFirst, right? So that's $279.30. Now, that included my meals, right? So it included that 8 meals, all of that. So you can see here it really broken down, right? So we had my actual guest fare was right here, $238.30. My port taxes and fees. So these are the fees that they have to pay to Panama and these other places, right? So I'm not worried about that, right? So one of the reasons I haven't done a Panama Canal cruise is the port fees, the taxes are extraordinarily high. So most of my cruise is actually this, right? Because out of that 779, right, it is 610, right? And that specialty dining. So just for simple math, right? If we took that 779.30. So if I had to cancel this cruise, let's say due to being sick or whatever, so if I took out the port taxes, which are 100% refundable, by the way, and I took out my specialty dining, which again is 100%, I technically only paid $90 for this cruise, my actual guest price. So if I had to like cancel this cruise, I'd only lose $90 technically. Okay. Why is this important? Because so we're going to use the math, right? So I paid out of pocket. So my credit card was charged $279.30. Now remember, that is for my cruise fare, which was very little, my specialty dining. Okay. So, and then I'm also going to add in the 250, right? Because if I took this and I divided by 11 days, out of pocket for this cruise, I only paid $25.39 per day for that 11-day cruise. Now, if I take that and I put in the 279, right? 30, and again, I add in the 250 because I did use a $500 CruiseFirst credit, which I did have to pay $250 for. And again, I divide this by 11. Now I've paid $48.19. We'll round up. So out of, I'd say $65 again, minus my 48. We'll just call it 48. I have $17 a day times 11. So I have $185 to spend. Oh, sorry. Yep. To be under that 65, you know, which doesn't sound like a lot, but again, all of my food is taken care of, all of my entertainment, unless if I want to go off and do excursions. And if I want to do excursion, I'm happy to do up to $100 a day. And again, I did 48 times 11. So I would stay under $572 for those excursions to keep under that $100 a day. That's very easy to do. Now, another thing, and I'd be happy to break down the other one, but it's going to be very similar monetarily. So, long story short, you might be like, okay, what else? Well, the other thing I did when I booked this cruise was that I have NCL shares. So, let me see if I have nclshareholder.com. So again, the nice thing about the shareholders, so I bought 100 shares of Norwegian stock. I bought it when it was about $20 a stock. And for me, that was a good deal, right? Because $20 a stock times 100 is $2,000, but let's put it in just in case it's $2,000. So for me, it was worthwhile. For a lot of you guys, it may not be worth it. So because this is an 11-day cruise, each cruise, I'm also going to get $100 on board credit. Okay. So that $100 on board credit is going to then be either put towards internet. Again, I get the 150 minutes, and then when the price goes down, a lot of times I will buy that. It could be go towards shore excursions. You could go towards a lot of things. And then I also tend to book with a absolutely wonderful travel agent. I don't always book with her, but I really enjoy her. And I have an Amex Platinum. And that Amex Platinum, when I book with this person, I also get Amex benefits. Now, the Amex benefits that I get when I book a Norwegian cruise, and it could be totally different for other cruise lines. But when I book a Norwegian cruise, I also get a amount of money on board credit. So if I do an inside or a ocean view, then I get $100 on board credit. If I do a balcony or above, I get $200 on board credit, which is really nice because I'm going to be doing an inside room. So between the shareholder and the Amex, I get $200 on board credit because I'm doing two cruises. I'm getting $400 on board credit for 22 days, which again, pull up our calculator. Love me some calculator. All right, so if I take that $400 and I divide it by 22 days, I get an additional $18 a day to spend as I see fit. Now, a lot of times that's enough to buy my internet. Um, it is. Or because I didn't get the drink package, I can use that to buy drinks or on ships that have full Starbucks. A lot of times I'll get the Starbucks package. It just depends. But so there's so many ways that you can save money. So for me, these 22 days on this cruise ship out of pocket have cost me, I mean, even if I round it up at $26 a day, and again, this is not including buying the cruise first, right? So 20 times 22, I've paid, and that's about right. I paid a little less than 600 bucks. So for 22 days, I have paid out of pocket 272. Now, when you add in, right, the 250, which I think ended up being closer, we'll call it 49. We're looking at about this. So out of like after buying those things, I've paid $1,000. We even round it up to, 10, it's 1078. But when you take out the $400 onboard credit that I've earned, again, you can't eat at home for 22 days. Well, you can for this much, but not unlimited food cooked for me whenever I want, right? And if you take again the 20, we'll round up to 26 times 22 minus the $400 onboard credit, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. So that's where I think a lot of you guys are like, I don't understand how she can do all this. A lot of it is it's a lot of math. And I know this might be one of my more chaotic videos. And I don't really have time to go deep dive into all this stuff. But I wanted to just kind of give you an overview because again, 2 cruises means I get 2 bags of laundry. I did buy 4 specialty dinings on top of my 2. So each cruise I could technically have 8 specialty dinings. And I did forget too, the Amex also gives me a French specialty dining. So I actually have 9 specialty dinings for 11 days for both cruises. So I can eat sushi every single day if I wanted to, which is bananas. So, I mean, I can't touch that anywhere but here. And this is a solo cruise. I wanted my son to come. He likes the cold weather, which is crazy. So he wants to stay in Rhode Island where it's cold. I can't stand cold weather, so I'm running away to Jamaica, and this was on my bucket list. So guys, this is how I do this in a sustainable way. I think that if you're spending 150, $250 a day, I don't think it's sustainable. Some of you guys can do that. I personally can't. So I thought I'd give you guys some insight. I hope this was helpful. I hope that, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and comments. And obviously, this is just me solo cruising. I really like solo cruising. I really like long cruises. I don't like 5 or less days. If I'm honest, I don't really like even 7 or less days. Um, I was recently on a 5 and a 4 day, and I swear every time I do them, I regret them. I think 7+ days tend to be significantly more comfortable, if I'm honest. So, anyway, guys, it was so amazing to see you. I hope you're having a great day, and I hope this gave you some insight on how River is always traveling, right? And like I said, if you would like to know more, go ahead and message me, and I'm happy to share. If you guys want me to do another episode, how I do this as well, I'd love to discuss. All right, guys, as always, um, I'll see you later. Bye. Thanks for joining me on Step Away from the Table, Beyond the Table. If today's episode sparked something in you, don't forget to follow, share, or leave a review. It helps more groomers like you find their next step. You don't have to do this alone, but you get to do it your way. Until next time, take a deep breath and keep moving forward.